For some reason, people have decided to test Snappy on Nuke in Stage 2 of the Major, and it has gone about as you'd expect. Now, Snappy really made his name by mastering Nuke as the IGL of ENCE. His teams were famous for really abusing the door, hitting these quick A execs, using fakes from this sort of established set of hits and rushes to go into ramp, to take outer. They really play with a certain pace, conviction. He is the trendsetter, the meta definer of Nuke, and honestly one of my favourite IGLs to watch, especially on this home map pick of his. We saw Nuke once in Stage 1 for NIP, and that was against Fluxo in a series that didn't last very long. The key details from NIP's win over Fluxo remained unchanged from the Snappy teams of old. He likes to apply a lot of door pressure, he hits a lot of people with really quick A hits, but also generally around the maps acts swiftly, decisively, and with a good amount of layering, faking, and just a little touch of misdirection. There's not a lot of late round play, but you will see it sometimes sprinkled in to try and catch out some aggressions. I understand that there's a lot of tape of Snappy on Nuke, and so you could think in your head, maybe we can prep for this, but realistically, the fundamentals executed at a high level are just hard to stop. Let's recap what happened against Fluxo to see exactly what worked so well for Snappy and his ninjas in pajamas. Firstly, he won Pistol thanks to his young star, ex-Casper Sky, and a little lurk from the new King of Door, Shush. They won the first full gun round by getting Shush out quick, taking 2 free kills before the rest of the team swarmed down vents to an empty B bomb site. Next gunny, they hit an A rush that got them onto the site. Decency picked up a quick double kill, but getting that site locked down once it's been taken is too easy. This is a trend as well. Once you allow a Snappy-led team, they're well drilled, they know how to play this map, into that A bomb site, it's really hard to retake. Even with man advantages, they know the angles, they understand the fights, they're just really tough to dig out. The final gun round is one off the back of swift out of control and an A crunch. Generally, the smokes they're throwing outside, it's going for this sort of triple line right here. This idea is to really create the wall, but also make it a little more difficult to blow the smokes open. Sure, if you're blowing it from this direction, taking this line in, let's just draw on this. If you're looking this way, sure, you can blow up in a hole, you can see the cross, but this player, the AWPer in main, really struggles. So when they're facing a team with a player like Zevi, who might like to take this sort of line more often, you know he's pretty much useless. He can look over the smokes, he can try and pick off, for example, Wrinkle likes to get himself up on this boost to look for an opening pick. Yeah, maybe they can get that sort of line, but otherwise, this AWPer's pretty much stuffed, and they can actually quite comfortably cross and deny some information. They use this a few times. This is sort of their go-to smoke wall that they play around. They misthrow it a little bit on round 2, so it looks a little different, but realistically, it's the same idea. This is really what they were going for. Now, there are only a couple rounds where they go for their ideas late. These were supposed to be switches of pace. Like you see here, they use some utility, they wait a bit more, they're looking in lobby, they're waiting for a reaction, something out of Fluxo team, and you can say Fluxo were composed. They didn't try to push for anything, but realistically, this Fluxo team, devoid of info. They have no idea what's going on around the map. They're just sat there, and NIP are expecting a reaction. You'll see when we switch over to their CT side, they know how to play the CT side of Nuke. They know not to leave it to chance that they'll be in the right spot or catch the right timing. You see, there was a smoke wall up, and no one in Fluxo even has any vision of lower. There's not a single player down here. No one has a clue. They could have gotten the B bomb site entirely for free. NIP giving Fluxo rather a little too much credit in this round, and a similar thing happens on round 11, where again, very patient, they wait, they throw some utility out at, no one really reacts, there's no one down lower. Again, NIP giving them too much credit, do end up executing late into a bomb site that's pretty much stacked, even with Ujux getting down lower. Decency did eventually rotate, but it took them 20 seconds, and then we're finally talking about it happening. This was a slightly botched round, but the reason why it ended up getting botched is, I think, NIP overestimating their opposition rather than really any major read out of Fluxo. You'll see it in other games, you'll see it even in this match. There are times where they do just get down for free from outer. No one really there to greet them, and it happens again and again against other opponents too. When that happens, it's just a free round. Just to show you what a good CT side can do, we'll see this setup out of NIP. Wrinkle getting himself quickly across to the sort of outer hut next to the secret stairs. Decency actually gets off a pretty effective lurk, a Shush-esque lurk, you want to call it, to catch Shush himself, but gets traded pretty quickly. Wrinkle does go only 1-for-1 because he is mollied back and tagged low, but it is still a pretty strong position, a tough thing for them to deal with, and that allows for ex-Casper Sky to reactivate, come back towards outer and help out. Snappy's also been in a rotation point. He can come to outer as well. They're really good at swarming on the relevant spots and sites, and you'll see it sometimes with their players outer coming quickly into A, and vice versa. What we saw in that Fluxo game is that NIP have a variety of really useful pieces for a Nuke side that's going to harass you, going to threaten you, and going to take a lot of rounds from you. They've got an amazing entry in ex-Kaspersky, really found money. He was on their own academy before they let him go to Ents and then recalled him, but he's been fantastic finding openings and finding those key kills, both towards outer and on the inner pops on the T side. Then you've got a player in Shush who's really finding his rhythm and finding his spots as the door lurker. He's managing to balance the aggression and the passive side of this sort of role where you wait for teams to try and playmake into you, but also pick your moments to go and playmake into them. He had some great rounds against all the opponents they end up playing, but he's also just a great anchor. So on the defensive side, you'll see him anchoring towards A, playing sort of rafters positions, playing some positions that you saw Spinks play back in the Ents days, and he really executes effectively. You see a great multi-kill against Astralis later that's just a peach, absolute, cherry on top. If that's your support player, Lord almighty, you're going to be good. And then Wrinkle. As much as Wrinkle has struggled for consistency and his aggression costs him a lot, Lord, when it works, he takes rounds over single-handedly. There's a great round where he gets like a pair of kills at door. Like he goes for one fight at door on the CT side. Fine, that's a pick you can go for. He then re-peaks deeper into lobby, picks off another one. That's round done and dusted. You're in a 5v3. They have these tools as well as a great caller. They're just ready. So let's take a look at how Tyloo and Astralis fared, because they still wanted a piece of this NIP on their home map. I'm not sure why. Now, Astralis, to give them some credit, they win the pistol round. They then win technically the first gun round with NIP forced to save. Then things quickly go off the rails. Firstly, Yabby gets caught trying to pick Shush off at door, aware of what Shush is going to go for, how he's going to play. He tries to get timing on him, but Shush, one step ahead, is playing rather passive in this round. NIP have now switched to throwing the cluster smokes. What I mean by this is this trio of smokes right here. Now, this trio, we switch up what we said earlier. The line was good for blocking a AWPer in Garage. This time, it's great for blocking that line from heaven. It means that the grenade pops are not going to pop it fully. You're going to be able to cross for free pretty much and pretty safely. And we see in this round that despite things, it starts off with the Shush opening kill, but also, once they get themselves across, we said Fluxo never reacting, never going for anything, never really being that aggressive. It can be a problem if you give up that bottom site. Hooksy, not really the player to take the challenge, tries to defend the bomb site itself. You see he goes down pretty quickly, pretty easily. Like he chucks a nade out, but just he's not taking that duel. Gets picked off in the bomb site, and then the CT side forced to save after that. Not much they can do. Even if they do catch the lurk of Shush, what are you going to do? Retake 3v4 into that B bomb site? It's impossible. They save. But yeah. Just a quick note, that's why I wanted to show you this round, just the switch up of the smokes. They can do it all. They're not a very fixed team. They'll know with some very basic prep what the tendencies are of their opponent, and they'll adjust accordingly. The next gun round starts with an exchange of sloppy opening deaths, but then the ninjas throw that outer cluster we just discussed. The last time they used it, they walked straight down behind it. This time, they don't. They actually regroup in lobby, wait an appropriate amount of time to create some doubt, some confusion in the minds of the Astralis players, then just walk out onto A. Now the players primarily hitting A are coming out of the single door. They throw a molly into main, and that causes the reaction out of Yabby. He sees the heavy pressure. He knows he's alone. The players have rotated away. He tries to push into Hut to take that space. He gets caught off by Kaspersky's AK. That's round done again. Finally, they win their third straight gun round, with Snappy calling for a slightly delayed A crunch. Now this kind of round is where your outer lurker or outer lurkers or players, if you have multiple going for this, are trying to use the smoke wall to their advantage to walk in onto the main player and to try and add another angle of attack to an A hit. This time it does go pretty poorly. Hooksy is fully locked in on the outer option. He takes out U-Jokes for free, but that means he's not watching the bomb site. They're able to trade out pretty effectively off the back of it, and even though they're in a man deficit, as we've said before, the A site with this team is a fortress. They're really good at holding it. They love it. Once they get the bomb down, they're pretty much secure in their round win. We'll see if a team can challenge that in the coming games. They are playing FaZe today on that map, but look, in this one, no one had a chance. Over the last 3 times we've seen them play it, they get that bomb site, 9 times out of 10, they're holding it. Shush then wins them another round from the door, a gift of a kill onto Yabby with this utility combo, just to show you what I'm talking about actually. This utility combo is one they like to go for quite a bit. Just look at what they're doing towards this part of the map. This part of the map here. There's smokes, there's a Molotov right behind the smokes to deny vision. It's really cool. Just watch everything land. Accidental double smoke into main. That's not intentional. But this smoke here is sort of mist-thrown lurk smoke from them. Then the Molotov is supposed to punish anyone trying to abuse the mist smoke. They've done it a few times. Then Shush out behind it does get spotted by Yabby. Shush is running around blind like he's just trying to stay alive. Yabi gets locked onto that idea that the player starts spraying. He's blind. He ends up going down to that Molotov. Then afterwards, Shush still chooses to linger around, sort of walks the smokes, gets the headshot trade with Hooksy. You know, headshot for headshot, the AK wins out. Another nice little opening idea from Shush, becoming really a weapon as a door lurker. Finally, they use an A hit, which I call the hut cover mollies. You know, there's a molly that drops onto the top of hut and another one right onto the rafter straight above. It just creates a nicer time for your entries coming out of hut. They can really run out without having to do this. You know, I'm usually a lot better at shooting people when I can look down at them. That's what the point of that exec is. It's really well done, great coordination with the utility, and it leaves the A defenders frustrated, tilted, and dead. Now, they would close the CT side with more perfectly executed aggressions, opening ideas, and smoke pops. They really did abuse some just less optimized T sides when it came to these Nuke victories. It's all well and good having a feel for the map, having a general idea, but when you're as in tune with it as this NIP side are, you're just going to be able to abuse these little details. Of course, Tyloo saw that game and decided, we can fuck around this map too. We've looked pretty sharp. We won our opening map against Parry Vision. We out-fragged them. This team of young aimers. We wrecked them. We can take Snappy's Nuke. We'll just be in the right spots to take 50-50 duels and just wreck them. To be fair, initially, not that wrong. Now, they did get the pistol round, then NIP broke back. They managed to get that hut cover, molly, A-rush through again. But Tyloo were shooting really hard. They won the next force and had the lead going into the real meat and potatoes of the half. They're up 3-1. Then, of course, here comes the Snappy T-side gun rounds. Just beauty after beauty. Let's take a look. Now, at 3-1, they did need a bit of magic. Like, Shush and Casper Sky got them back into the flow, clawing back a nearly lost round into a win. They then get really back on track with an outer cross into a B take. Ujux takes a pair of scalps on the entries down lower, and the Chinese fail to save. Round 10 was a combination of key ideas from NIP's Nuke, combining really well. The first idea that we've already discussed, and that, you know, happens a good couple times at T-half, is the Wrinkle silo opening pick. He's going to go for it this time and actually succeed. He is not always successful, but there we go, gets it done there. And they're back to throwing the line smokes to block garage, and Ujux is going to lurk into main. Snappy's going to lurk into main, Ujux going to lurk into garage, and that's going to afford them some opportunities for some, you know, players caught off. You know, Ujux goes down, but Snappy gets in on great timing, catches attacker's attention and forces him back, gets him low HP, and that gets a free kill for Casper Sky. And look, they're swarming the bomb site, they've got it taken. That's just a great round win. I mean, Jamyoung does get Ujux trying to get on his lurk, but if Jamyoung's there, he's not over there. And Snappy catches them with their pants down. A great little round there. On the defense, they were again clean and coordinated. They held the A-bomb site really well against some heavy rushes. And we saw outside exactly what I was talking about when it comes to teams just being not as good at Nuke as this NIP side are, because teams that I think aren't as committal with their ideas, sometimes it can be effective if you know what you're doing. In this sense, it really wasn't for Tyloo. They're not that good of a team. On round 17, they go for an outer smoke wall. Just watch it. Just watch this outer smoke wall. They're going to throw it twice because it fades the first time. They didn't actually do anything off the back of it, which I always think is a bit of a waste if you're not going to actually do something else around the map when you're throwing your smoke walls. I mean, look at them. They're just grouped up waiting. They're just waiting. They're panicked. They're scared. They're worried about someone else aggressing onto them. They're not actually doing a whole lot. NIP, on the other hand, they've covered this. You're going to watch around here. Watch for the grenades that's going to pop to try and, give them the info. There it is on the first one on the fade. They spot nothing. The second smoke wall comes down, and again, they throw the grenades, blow it open, bang, 2 free kills. Ujux and Casper Sky through that blown smoke, both get a kill. Just a really poorly executed round from Tyloo, where they spend a good 30 seconds and a pair of smokes to achieve nothing. And you can call it establishing a default, you can call it what you want, but considering they took no space, got no info, and weren't actually being aggressed upon, and later in the half anyway, they're going to get aggressed upon in this setup and just take the death. It's just poor. It's poor. It's not anything close to resembling the NIP T side we saw. It makes me wonder why teams are so willing to go into it. In this case, they just weren't ready. So they're incredible on Nuke. A really well-called T side, perfectly coordinated CT side to go with it, and the individuals look really confident in their reads and the fights they're taking. Shush popping off, Wrinkle grabbing opening picks, Casper Sky on all his entries, and then, you know, in the chaos of that sort of post-initial pop, sort of mess that establishes, he's able to find kills left, right, and center. They know where to look, they know where to be, and they know what their opponents are going to be trying. they're just locked in on the map of Nuke. And I think FaZe today will be smart to just avoid Nuke against Snappy if they can. If they can't, it's a 3-map series. I guess they'll have to try and do it somewhere else. But in that sense, you know, Snappy's been really happy going into maps like Train as well. It could get a bit messy in the veto. Even with only a few days to prep, or sometimes just a very quick turnaround between maps, the game plan switches on a dime. They're able to change up the smokes they're using outside. Still, the same principles apply in terms of applying pressure in different places, then using group ups to take space effectively on good timing with good tempo. This Snappy side is incredible. If you enjoyed, leave a like, leave a comment, tell me your thoughts on this NIP start so far. If you liked the look of the tool I was using, that is strap-based, 20% off your first month when you use Kingt at checkout. And yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.